So here are some tips for you to conducting great interviews. The interview actually starts the moment you make first contact with that person, not the moment they're on Skype or Zoom with you, but the moment that you reach out to them and you start that conversation. And so the connection that you have to them is important. Maybe it's an introduction to that person from somebody else. These are great things to help warm up that interview process so that when you guys finally get on and start recording, you can go deeper. It's more comfortable. And that's exactly what you want the other person to feel. You want them to feel comfortable. I often, and just take this. This is what I do when I get on an interview with somebody. I say, number one, I say, I'm not recording yet, or I haven't hit record yet. That's really great because a person comes on and they're wondering if they're already being recorded. Tell them no, right? Tell them, I'm not recording yet, but I just wanted to say thank you for coming on. And I want you to think of this as just like we're sitting in a coffee shop together and I'm just getting to know you and I'm just going to be curious about how you did what you did. That's an amazing way to make a person feel comfortable because now they can imagine we're just in a coffee shop having a conversation. This isn't like a R. Kelly sort of, interview situation where there's a spotlight and it's like, the whole nation's watching. This is just like a comfortable situation and the audience, they're just a fly on the wall. So that's how I would position it when you are beginning to have a conversation with somebody. And then you go, okay, I'm going to hit record now and let's go. And now this person is going to be more open to going deeper with you. And that's exactly what you want to do when you are doing an interview. Try not to ask closed-ended questions like, did you go to college? Yes or no? No. Say things like, well, tell me about your education when you were growing up and how that affected who you became today. As you can see, this is an open-ended question. A great tip for you if you're doing interviews, super simple. Be curious. Your job as the interviewer is to be curious. And this is what's going to help you stand out from all those other shows that are literally question 1, done. Question 2, done. Question 3, done. Those are boring, and guess what? Anybody could be the host at that point. They could just replace you and ask the same exact questions. Where you will stand out as an interviewer is when you go deeper, asking questions like, well, why did you decide to do that? How did you feel in that moment? What would you do differently if you had the chance to do it all over again? Those questions help you stand out, and then go even deeper. They tell you something and go, well, tell me more. I don't understand exactly why you did that. That's your job, and that's the gold is under there. The gold's under there. You just got to unpack that. And then next, you want to hunt for the story, and this is a great tip. If you want to get a person to tell a story, and that's again where engagement happens with your listeners, here's what you do. You say something like, well, tell me about a time when blank. I got this tip from Alex Bloomberg, who is the founder of the Startup Podcast and founder of Gimlet Media, which actually just got bought by Spotify for hundreds of millions of dollars. He mentioned this when he does interviews. He goes, tell me about a time when blank. And you can fill in that blank with whatever you're interested in thinking about and asking about. And that basically gives a person permission to go, okay, well, I'm going to tell you the story. Tell me, like even somebody mentioned earlier that they do Facebook ads for podcasts. Well, tell me about a time when a campaign didn't go according to plan. Instead of, hey, have you ever had a campaign like not go the way you thought it was going to? No. You go, tell me about a time. That part's the really important part. Tell me about a time when, and then basically you just sit back and listen and then go deeper. And then finally listen. Listening's hard as a podcaster. That's the biggest thing that I learned because I was so worried about what I was going to say next and what question I was going to ask next. And it seems like we have a couple pro podcasters in the house, Becky and Sadahan, who have done this before too. They don't ask from a list of questions either. They go likely with a goal to get some information that it's going to be helpful for their audience. And that can only happen when you are curious.